Every night I have the same dream. I'm trapped in the bowels of the earth, trying to crawl out. And just when I think I've found escape, there's more darkness. And then I see him emerging from flame with death in his eyes. And I know who he is. The legend goes like this. There was a creature, half goblin, half orc, the only one of his kind. He sought out connection and in return was mocked as an abomination and forbidden to be a part of any kingdom. He was told to live amongst the beasts of the wild, that they were his kind, until he was said to have disappeared underground. It is there where things took a great turn for the worse. He stumbled upon a great evil, a power that called out to him from the depths of hell itself. When he approached, he merged with this power and became something much, much worse, something horrifying. It is then that he vowed to return to the surface world and burn all those who walk above to ash. And any unlucky soul who survives the flames will suffer a greater misery of plague and pestilence. He is Hell's plague. Hey everyone, it's Area of Effect with another out-of-the-box build, the Hell's Plague build, a stamina DK. Take a look at the stat screen. We got that penetration plus noxious breath. Look at the recoveries, the resistances, the weapon damage was almost 5,600. This build stat screen is stacked. We got the Lover Mundus. We're going to go for all that extra penetration. Smoked Bear Haunch, give us those triple recoveries and that max health. As you know, stat screens alone aren't enough. You got to have a good build, mechanic, skill, rotation. And this thing's functionality is nuts. We're an orc. We've got the max stamina for 1,000 passive. We've got Unflinching Rage. It gives us max health, an extra 1,000. And then every 4 seconds we deal damage, we get almost 2,200 health proc. And Swift Warrior, we get that 258 weapon and spell damage, and extra speed, and reduced cost of sprint. That goes a long way in PvP, especially on a stamina build. Let's take a look at the gear now. First 5-piece set, Plague Slinger. We got the Plague Slinger bow, it's infused. You could go with Sharpened for more penetration and hitting harder. I just didn't transmute. What Plague Slinger does is when you take damage, it's going to summon a Skeever Corpse, and it's going to launch 6 balls, it doesn't say that, over 5 seconds. 0 seconds is the first ball, and they're each going to deal about 4,500 damage apiece, and they could crit. That's an insane damage set, proccing all the time. Then we've got the 2-piece Master's Greatsword on the front bar. This weapon is insane, especially when you use Carve, because it's an AoE. It's going to deal damage in front of you in a cone. The more people in that cone, the more damage it's going to deal per swing. And then the skill you use it with, which is Carve, you could use the morph that gives you a bigger shield, the more damage, the more enemies that are there. So just the bigger the shield and the bigger the damage. This set is nuts. The monster set we're going with is Velodreth. It's going to give us weapon and spell damage. When you deal damage, a 20% chance to spawn 3 disease spores. They will roll in front of you, they'll hit the first target, and they'll move through them. Almost 9,000 damage base, and that could crit. Check it out. It rolls through all 3. It rolls on past. All 3 of these targets got hit by it, and anybody beyond. I love that the balls don't explode anymore like they used to. Check it out, the damage. 10,000 on the middle target, but they all got hit. And everything we do is pretty much AoE, a lot of AoE direct damage, and everything is balls and mortars and flame and poison. The Plague Slinger launches mortars. The Velodreth rolls these poison balls. We got the light shoulders and the heavy helmet, by the way, because we're going to go for those undaunted passives. And Plague Slinger's medium, so we got all 3. The next 5-piece set, Red Mountain. Another, mortar, but it's a lava ball. It's a medium set, weapon and spell damage, max stam, crit, and then when you deal damage with a weapon, you spawn a volcano that erupts, and it's going to deal to the nearest target it's over 11,000. That could crit as well. Every 8 seconds, 100% chance to proc. Red Mountain's going to do this all the time. We got 5 pieces on our body, never coming off, whereas the Plague Slinger bow, Plague Slinger toggles on when we switch to our bow. I've got all stam recovery glyphs. Like I said, we got 5,500 weapon damage. If you want to push it to 6, by all means, put some of these glyphs into, turn them into weapon damage. But I love having this much recovery on this build. With all this mobility as an orc, it's non-stop damage. You're very mobile. And like I said, look at the balls going around me. We're going to get into those skills in just a second, starting with the bow bar. All right, the first skill on the bow bar, Stone Giant. Crush the earth beneath you, dealing 9,200 physical damage and an AoE around you, a direct damage. It's pretty hard-hitting stomp. And then you'll get 3 lava balls that you can lob out for almost 9,000 apiece. The third one is going to stun the enemy as well. So I just love this skill. It's also going to activate, well, look here, I'll stomp. There's the damage up front. Now I got the balls rotating around me. 1, 2, and the third one will stun, but these guys are immune as they're dummies. But it's also going to activate the Mountain's Blessing passive, giving minor brutality to myself and my allies in the area, increasing our weapon damage by 10%. Next skill is a heal, Resolving Vigor, almost 20,000 health over 5 seconds, and giving us minor resolve, almost 3,000 resistance for more damage mitigation. This is a no-brainer. The next skill, Flame Lash.
9,100 flame damage. It costs very little magicka, but if they're stunned or off balance, it's going to turn into Power Lash, dealing almost 11,000 flame damage, but then healing you for almost 10,000. It's a very, very large chunk. It's a very bursty damage and healing table turning skill. And we're setting them, we're immobilizing them with talons, and then we're going to basically, our first whip is going to be Power Lash. So that skill is basically a heal and a damage. Now, I'm buffing up here. The next skill is Coagulating Blood. It's a magicka heal, a big bursty heal, up to almost 12,000, between 11 and 12. It could crit, increasing by up to 50% more depending on the missing health. So it's a very big bursty heal. We have this for emergencies. If we're having to go super defensive, people are dropping ults, you're in a dark convergence, whatever. This skill is going to get us out of a pickle and raise our health quickly. Burning Talons. This also costs magicka. It's going to deal flame damage up front, 7,500, flame damage over time, immobilize them, and offer a synergy to allies around you. But more importantly, it's going to immediately activate and allow Power Lash with Lava Whip. That is why we use the Talons. If you use Fossilize, you got to still knock them off balance or wait till they're immobilized in that portion of Fossilize. So that's why I use the Talons. It's another AoE. So much of what we do is AoE. This build does great with multiple opponents. It does better with multiple opponents around you. Now, Corrosive Armor, I don't have to explain this, do I? 200 ultimate, you're basically unkillable for 12 seconds. Any damage you take is only going to equal up to 3% of your max health. You deal 1,500 poison damage around you, and every direct damage attack you have is going to ignore the enemy's physical and spell resistance. It's like you're hitting them without armor as if they're naked, and everything we have is basically direct. I mean, not everything, but so much of what we have is direct damage. Even our damage over times, like Burning Talons, like Noxious Breath, which we haven't got into yet, like Cleave, if you have the bleed damage, they all have upfront direct damage, so they're going to be hitting them naked. The next bar, we're going to go to our two-handed bar, Carve. This is going to deal bleed damage up front, 7,400. Bleed damage over time. You can stack it up and get a longer tick of the bleed damage. I meant to pick the other one, by the way, and I did switch it, the one that gives you a bigger damage shield, versus, rather than having the one that extends the time frame where they bleed longer. Having them bleed for like 32 seconds, just, I don't know, it just doesn't seem... Burst is what you want in PvP, so go with the morph that gives you the bigger shield. Alright, moving on to the next skill on the two-handed bar, Flames of Oblivion. When we cast this, it's going to deal damage to 3 separate enemies nearby, 7,600 fire damage. It's going to do it every 5 seconds, including 0, so 4 separate bursts of it. But while it's slotted, we're also going to get that Major Savagery. Look, it hits all 3 of those targets, as you see. You can spam it and not wait for that 5 seconds. But just having it slotted is going to give us that Major Savagery for that extra crit. So the next skill, Noxious Breath, costs stamina. It's going to be a Corrosive Blast to enemies in front of you, 8,000 poison damage up front, direct damage, 18,000 poison damage over time, and then give them Major Breach, reducing their resistances by 6,000 almost. So we really are hitting them, stripping them down and already adding what penetration we already have. We are hitting them pretty hard when it comes to carving through resistances here. That's also, like I said, it's a damage over time. So all the orange numbers at the waist is going to be damage over time numbers. All the numbers above with white or yellow, if they crit, are going to be direct damage numbers. For any of those who don't know. The next skill, Rally, is going to be a stamina casting skill. Gives us our Major Brutality and Major Sorcery, increasing our weapon and spell damage by 20%. It gives us Minor Endurance, increasing our stamina recovery by 15% for 20 seconds. And then we get a big heal when the ability ends. The heal is going to be bigger the longer the skill's been active. If you let it run its full cycle, it's going to be big, but you can get that heal quicker by casting it like at the 10-second mark, say. Next skill, Volatile Armor. It's going to be our Major Resolve and Major Ward for 20 seconds, buffing our resistances. But it's going to send out a spray of flaming spikes, deals damage over time for 20 seconds, and also reflects damage, direct damage you take within melee range while it's active. Like 500, I think it was, or close to damage back. The ultimate of this bar, Ferocious Leap. We're going to deal almost 19,000 flame damage. Again, this could crit. It only costs 125 ultimate, but look at that damage shield we get, a 30,000 point damage shield that's going to last for up to 6 seconds. And as you know, as a Dragon Knight, you're going to get resources back. So I just love this skill. It's damage dealing, stun, shield giving, resource returning ultimate, and you can't beat it. It's a gap closer as well. So that is the skill layout on this build. Let's go ahead and jump into the champion points now. All right, starting off with the blue trees, Master at Arm is our first CP point. 6% damage increase to all of our direct damage attacks. That's just about everything we do. The next one, Biting Aura, 6% damage on all of our area of effect attacks. That's everything I do because I am area of effect. Next one is Endless Endurance, 1300 extra max stam. That's going to keep us over 30k. And the last one, Untamed Aggression, 150 weapon and spell damage. That's just going to apply to everything we do, including our healing. Let's move into the red tree, the defensive trees now. We've got Bastion. Now, this is going to increase our shield with Dragon Leap. It's also going to increase the shield we get from the Cleave skill. So that's why we're using this here. The next one is Sustained by Suffering, 150 health, magicka, and stamina recovery when you're affected by a negative effect. That's all the time in PvE, so just pretty much consider that 100%. Rejuvenation, 90 health, magicka, and stamina recovery at all times. No negative effect required. And the last one, Fortified, giving us more physical and spell resistance. Sometimes I'll use the health one. But in this build, this is how I ran this. So if you want to change it up, by all means to your playstyle, tweak the blue, tweak the red. That's going to wrap up the CP distribution and actually wrap up this build video, the Hell's Plague build. If you like this build and this video and you want to see more, head on over to my channel. I've got plenty of more content on there. Builds of all styles, magicka, stamina, healers, tanks, damage dealers, and other things that are non-build related, including tips and tricks. So like I said, like, subscribe, share this video with your friends, let me know what you would do different in the comments, and let me know what you thought of the intro in the beginning. And for the final send-off, I have a special guest, my daughter, who's going to handle the outro.
Thank you for watching my daddy's video. Like and subscribe. Area of Effect signing out.